All right, today we're diving into a text that claims to be a final confession. This is a warning, written at the very edge of life by a man who discovered things that, well, humanity was probably never meant to know. We're about to hear the testimony of a sorcerer.
And boom, right from the get-go, we're pulled into a first-person account. This isn't just some ancient lore. It's a personal story. The narrator isn't telling us about these gods from a distance. He's telling us he has seen them, learned from them, and even used their power through something he calls the Three Seals. This is his confession.
So, who is this guy? Well, he introduces himself as Abdal-Hazred, a name that's whispered in legends as the Mad Arab. But as he's writing this, he's not some great, powerful sorcerer. No, he's an old man, and he's just burdened by the terrible weight of everything he's experienced.
He tells us he's lived for 1,001 moons. I mean, it's an impossibly long time, and it has absolutely taken its toll. He's sick, he's exhausted, and he feels this dark lantern hanging in his chest. But even worse, he's being hunted. There's this quiet, subtle voice calling to him from a great distance, and he just knows his time is almost up. So this testimony, it's his final desperate act.
But how does a simple man become the keeper of these kinds of horrifying secrets? Well, the story begins a long, long time ago, with a single night that completely shattered his world and set him on this incredibly dark path.
So picture this. He's just a shepherd's son, all alone in the mountains of Mashu. He finds this strange gray rock, about as tall as a man, carved with these three bizarre symbols. He doesn't think much of it. Maybe it's just a marker from some old war. So he builds his campfire at its base to keep the wolves away and settles in. Just an ordinary night for an ordinary young man.
But yeah, this was no ordinary stone. As the embers of his fire started to die down, something began to unfold that would scar him for the rest of his life. So what exactly did he see?
The sheer terror of it just escalated in stages. First, the stone itself starts to glow, and then it just silently rises up into the air. Suddenly, he's surrounded by these figures in black robes, chanting in some language he's never heard. And then, from the very ground beneath him, these massive, serpent-like tails start to emerge, just churning up the earth. In absolute horror, he screams and just runs for his life as the whole scene descends into total chaos.
And this was the sound that was just burned into his memory, the chant of those priests. These weren't human words. They were an invocation, a call to something ancient, something alien. And this chant would haunt him for the rest of his days, driving him to figure out what it all meant. That one night, it completely ended his old life. He couldn't go home, he couldn't forget what he saw. He was now an outcast, possessed by this one singular, terrifying question. What was that ritual? And that's when his long, painful quest for answers began.
And his journey was brutal. For 7 years, he wandered as a beggar, getting chased out of towns, stoned, threatened. He dedicated himself completely to learning ancient languages, poring over forbidden texts, just searching for any clue. Then he gets this devastating news. His entire family is dead, victims of some strange epidemic. With his last tie to his old life just severed, he makes a vow to abandon civilization completely. He was ready to bargain with anything or anyone to get the knowledge he craved.
Eventually, his search led him right back to where it all started, that fateful spot in the mountains of Mashu. And there, in the ashes of that horrible night, he finally found his first real answer.
As he's sifting through the cold embers, he finds this metal amulet. It was intricately carved with symbols, and the second he touched it, their meaning just flooded his mind. There was no translation needed. The knowledge was instantaneous. This amulet held the three keys to the very power he had witnessed.
So, the first symbol is Era. This is the sigil of the covenant. Think of it like a pact made between humanity and the elder gods, these ancient beings from way out beyond the stars. It's a sign of their bond, a promise that when they see it, they'll remember their allies here on Earth. It's all about connection.
The second one is Aga, the elder sign. Now, this isn't just a symbol, it's a functional key. When you use it with the right words and the right rituals, it can actually summon the incredible power of the elder gods. This is what turns abstract knowledge into real, tangible power.
And the third is Bandar, the seal of the Watcher. This sigil summons a guardian from a special race sent by the elder gods, but it comes with a huge flashing warning sign. It must never be used alone. Without the other two sigils, the Watcher isn't bound by any kind of covenant, and it will turn on whoever summoned it and just destroy them.
Now, with these keys in hand, Alhazred's journey took a whole new turn. His pursuit of knowledge led him into the desert, where a demonic entity gave him a gift, a book. And this book was a grimoire, a practical guide to summoning the messenger of the Old Ones, a being known as Nyarlathotep.
You know, this wasn't theoretical knowledge anymore. The book had the names, the sigils, the invocation instructions for 21 different aspects of Nyarlathotep. Each face was a distinct entity you could call upon for a specific and often terrifying purpose. It was basically a cosmic instruction manual for summoning horror.
And the variety of powers here was just staggering. He could summon Banabo, this bloated man who smells of rot, to find hidden treasures. Or, for a much darker purpose, he could call on Renrubur, a prince in golden armor who would literally murder at his command. You had Norianor, a winged scribe who knew the contents of every book ever, and Osabor, a fiery serpent who could read the minds of men. This was the kind of power he learned to wield.
And all of this brings us right back to the present. Back to Abd al-Hazred, old and dying, frantically writing down everything he knows. But why? Because after a lifetime of chasing power, he finally understands the true nature of the cosmos, and he is absolutely terrified. This is his final, chilling prophecy. He learned that the Old Ones, the same beings he saw in the mountains, were banished from Earth a long time ago, when the stars became wrong. But they weren't destroyed. Oh no, they're just waiting. He warns that one day, the stars will be right again, and they will reclaim what was once theirs. So after hearing this testimony, this story of immense sacrifice for immense power, all ending in a warning of a cosmic apocalypse, it really leaves us with one question. Alhazred paid the ultimate price for knowledge. If you found his book, knowing the kind of power it contained and the horror it foretold, would you be able to resist opening it?